I'm Brandy.
6 months have passed since the accident, and here I am, standing on my balcony, watching the autumn leaves dance against the city skyline. I've come a long way, walking with only the occasional need for a cane, my surgical scars fading into silvery lines. But the real transformation has been on the inside. As I look back, I remember that fateful night in the hospital. My bones were broken, but it was the words of my mother that shattered me completely. "Don't call us while we're in Africa," she said softly, as if it were the most reasonable thing in the world. I lay there, in that cold hospital bed, with a shattered leg and fractured ribs, realizing that my family's safari vacation was more important than my recovery. I was raised in a well-off family in New York. My father, Henry, was a strict and business-oriented man. He always measured success by wealth and status. My mother, Victoria, was obsessed with social standing and image. They were more concerned with what others thought of their family than with the well-being of their children. My younger brother, Leo, who is 22, was the apple of their eye. Despite his lack of responsibility and constant financial troubles, he was always forgiven. I was the one who held everything together. I was a successful marketing manager, but my real role was being the family fixer. If Leo needed money for a new car repair or got into a relationship mess, I was the one he called. I was always there, sacrificing my own time and energy for the family. Our annual family vacations were a big deal. They were all about showing off our status. The African safari had been in the works for over a year. I'd spent months researching the best game reserves, booking luxury lodges, and even learning some basic Swahili phrases. I did everything to make it a perfect trip, while Leo barely bothered to show up for the planning meetings. The week before the trip, I was swamped at work. But I worked late every night to clear my schedule, so I could join them. I had my suitcase packed and my passport ready. I was the perfect daughter, always putting the family first. Then, that terrible night happened. I was working late at the office. A heavy snowstorm hit New York, and my colleague Lily told me to take a taxi home. But I was too confident in my driving skills and didn't want to leave my car in the parking lot. As I was driving home, I looked down for a moment to change the radio station, and my car started to skid on the icy road. It spun out of control and crashed into a tree. When I woke up in the hospital, the first thing I thought about was our upcoming safari. I called my parents, and they arrived a few hours later. My mother gasped and said, "This is such bad timing." It was all about the timing, not about me. My father started asking about my insurance and the company's disability benefits, more like a business negotiation than a worried father. Leo just stood there, looking uncomfortable. During the visit, Leo suddenly asked, "So, what about the safari? Are we still going?" I was shocked. I thought it was obvious that we should cancel. But my parents exchanged uncomfortable glances. They said they'd discuss it. As the visiting hours ended, I overheard Leo arguing with them in the hallway. "We've planned this for so long. Why should we miss out because of her?" The next day, my parents came with some gifts, but their words were like a knife in my heart. "We've paid a fortune for this safari, Brandy. The insurance won't cover the cancellation. We can't lose all that money," my father said in his cold, business-like tone. My mother added, "The safari has been booked for ages, and all the reservations are non-refundable." They decided to go on the trip, leaving me alone in the hospital. The first week in the hospital was a nightmare. My physical pain was intense, but the emotional pain was even worse. I watched as they posted pictures of their amazing safari on social media. Leo was posing with lions, my mother was smiling in front of a beautiful African sunset, and my father was sharing interesting facts about the wildlife. They called me only once, and during the call, they were more interested in telling me about their luxurious lodge than asking how I was. On the 5th day, the hospital social worker, Mrs. Thompson, came to my room. "I heard your family is in Africa. Who will help you when you're discharged?"
she asked.
I was stunned. I hadn't thought about that. I realized how alone I was. That night, I saw a group photo of them at a famous safari camp on social media. The caption said, "Wish you were here." Something inside me snapped. I sobbed uncontrollably, and my broken ribs ached. A nurse, Amy, sat with me and listened as I poured out all my pent-up anger and hurt. She said, "That's not what love looks like, honey." Those words were like a wake-up call. I started to realize that I had been living my life for the family, ignoring my own needs. I blocked my family's social media accounts. I decided to focus on my recovery. Lily from work visited me with a care package from the office. When she heard what had happened, she was furious. Her support made me feel like I was not alone. The hospital became a place of support. Amy would stop by even on her off days. The physical therapist, Mr. Davis, pushed me hard but celebrated every small victory. The nutritionist brought me special smoothies for healing. I also started writing in a journal that Amy gave me. It helped me express all the emotions I'd been holding back for years. Mrs. Thompson explained to me that I had developed a caretaker personality. My self-worth was tied to being needed by my family. I started reading the books she recommended about setting boundaries and healthy family relationships. As my physical condition improved, I started to set small boundaries. When my parents called from Africa and started talking about their safari, I told them I had to go because the physical therapist was waiting. It felt empowering. I also joined a trauma survivors support group at the hospital. There, I heard stories of other people who had been betrayed and abandoned. Sharing my story made me feel less alone, and I realized that my family's behavior was not normal. As my discharge date approached, I was worried about going home. My parents and Leo were supposed to come back the next day, but I didn't want to depend on them. Lily offered to let me stay at her place. It was on the first floor, and she worked from home 3 days a week. At first, I was hesitant. I was used to being self-reliant, but she said, "Letting people who care about you help is not being a burden. It's letting them love you." When my family returned from Africa, they came to the hospital with souvenirs. They were more excited to tell me about their trip than to ask about my recovery. When the doctor told them I was being discharged, they were shocked. "We thought you'd be here longer," my mother said. I told them I was staying with Lily. They were confused and angry. My mother said, "We're your family. You should be with us." I just said calmly, "When I needed you the most, you were on a safari." That truth hung in the air. We argued, but in the end I realized that true healing would come from my own choices. On the day of my discharge, Lily helped me to her car. It felt like a new beginning. We stopped at a park on the way to her place. I sat in the wheelchair, feeling the sunshine on my face. It was a simple moment, but it felt like a miracle after being in the hospital for so long. That night, I decided to take an extended medical leave. I also committed to continue therapy for my family relationship issues. I deleted the family photo from my phone wallpaper and replaced it with a quote, "Healing is not linear." Things have changed in the past 6 months. My relationship with my family is different now. We have more limited contact. My mother was initially hurt and confused, but I explained that I needed to take care of my own well-being. My father has slowly started to understand. And Leo, surprisingly, has changed the most. He called me a few months after my discharge. He came to my place with groceries and said he'd been seeing a therapist. He apologized for the way he and our parents had treated me. My professional life has also changed. I transferred to a different department at work with more reasonable hours. I've started volunteering at a local organization that helps accident survivors. I tell them that recovery is not just physical, it's also emotional. I've booked a solo trip to Africa for next spring. It's not the same safari as the one my family took. It's my own adventure, on my own terms. I've learned that true family can be the friends who stand by you in hard times, and love should lift you up, not drain you. Being left behind by my family was the beginning of finding my own way forward. If you've ever felt abandoned by those who should have loved you most, share your story in the comments. And if my journey of healing and self-discovery resonates with you, hit the like and subscribe button. Remember, sometimes our deepest wounds become our greatest teachers.